on a covered call, and then I'll do the substitute here in a second. I'm long 100 shares of stock, right? And I'm short in this example, let's say the December 260 call. Okay, I bought the stock at, I'm going to make my numbers easy, 259, and I sold the call for $1.50. Okay, so this would be my trade price. Okay, so to me, this is like what I'm modeling here is the monitor tab. This is your monitor tab in Thinkorswim. Okay, so you have a column over here that's P&L, right? P&L open and P&L day. Let's say we're looking at the P&L open column. So if the stock goes down, let's say the stock drops. So this is the mark price in your monitor tab. Let's say the stock drops to 256. How much money are you going to be up or down on the stock? If you bought it at 259 and it drops to 256, you're down 300 bucks. So it'll show that you're down $300 in the stock. What happens to the value of a call option if the stock goes down? What happens to the value of the call option? What happens to the price of the call option if the stock goes down? The price of the call option goes down. Right? This is forget that you sold the option for a second. I'm just talking in general. Call option values drop if the stock drops because the call option goes up when the stock goes up and down when the stock goes down. So let's assume that the call option fell in value to 30 cents. Now, since you sold that call, are you making money or losing money? Well, you're short the option, so the option going down in value is good for you. So you're making 120 bucks in this case. Okay? So in a covered call position, if the stock goes down, you make money in the call to offset what you're losing in the stock. Okay? Let's see, who asked that question? Sanjay, does that answer your question? So you don't make $120 plus the 150 you got up front. The 120 you're making is part of the 150. Okay? Now it's the same thing with this call diagonal spread. Okay, this call diagonal spread, which is essentially a synthetic covered call the way we're doing it. We bought the May or March, what strike was it? 232 call. Right, I bought the March 232 call option. And then I sold the December 260 call. Okay, so same columns, you know, we paid 28 bucks for this. We received, let's say, $1.50 for this. Let's say the stock goes down. So your long call option drops to $26 and the short call drops in value to 30 cents. So you would be down 200 bucks on the long call and you'd be up 120 on the short call. Okay, and your net loss would be you're down 80. Well, I mean, Sanjay, that's why you just learn them one at a time. I mean, guys, it's challenging when you jump on a webinar and somebody's throwing out commentary on a strategy you haven't really traded before, right? Keeping it straight in your head, trying to figure out where the numbers are. You know, that's just part of learning, and if you're jumping into a discussion on a strategy that you traded a million times, you know, then it's easy peasy. So if you go watch last week's video, I go step by step through the trade, but My objective is multifold, but number one, it's to show people that there are multiple ways that you can do a cover call type trade. So for people with smaller accounts, or simply those that want to be more efficient with their use of capital, something like this call diagonal spread where you're using a long call option instead of stock and trying to cash flow that is appealing. It's attractive. But this also helps you to see that this hedged nature of some of the trades we do, how you make money on one side, but you lose on the other. Okay, this is the nature of any kind of trade where you have offsetting legs. If it's a two-legged trade where you're long an option and short an option, they offset a little bit. Okay, and that's why spread trading offers less risk than just buying options outright or selling options outright. When you do two different sizes or both sides at the same time, you buy one, you sell one, and you look at the P&L column, do you see how it reduces the fluctuation in your profit or loss? Right? So a guy who just buys a call may see big fluctuations in his P&L. The guy who does a spread is going to see less fluctuation because he doesn't have as much exposure. Okay, that's another takeaway. Sanjay, so if the stock went up, sure, it would be the opposite. So let's say the S&P goes up. What happens to the value of the call option you own? What happens to the value of the call option I own? It goes up in value. So maybe that goes from $28 to $30. Well, in that case, I'm making $200 on my long call. Okay. What's going to happen to the other call option? Well, it's going to go up in value as well, because that's what call options do. They go up in value if the stock goes up. So maybe this thing goes from $1.50 to, let's say it goes up to $2.50. So because you're short, you sold it for $1.50. It's now at $2.50. If you bought it back, you'd lose $100. Okay. And so your overall gain is $100. Okay. Ali, I would. So if I bought a March option, I could sell December against it and January. I don't know if I would push it into Feb. So if I bought a March in the money call with the intent of selling covered calls against it, I'd be okay selling December and January, and then I'd probably close down my March and reestablish the trade. Then I go buy a July or August option or something. Okay. Great question. What if you sell a naked put way out of the money to make money in both sides? I don't know what you mean about making money on both sides. You mean in addition to the covered call? So you do a covered call and you sell a naked put? You could, Esteban. That's known as a covered strangle. A covered strangle. You're just adding to your risk, Esteban. You're doing two bullish trades instead of one. You're doing a covered call and a naked put. So you're taking more risk, but you have more potential profit. Okay, these are good questions. So I'm going to go ahead and continue in this line of discussion here. If I don't have time to go over all this sector rotation stuff, we'll do it again next time. Okay, we'll spend a little more time on that. But it doesn't really do me any good to jump topics too quickly because I really want you guys to be able to apply these things. I mean, part of the intent of rotating the discussions each week is to just get you exposed to new things. But, we also want to do it justice and make sure that you can actually apply what we're talking about. Okay, so if you didn't try to do some of these diagonal spreads from last week and it piques your interest, go do some. And then, come with questions. Okay. That was kind of my intent of today's initial discussion anyways. So Esteban, I think I answered that question. You'd probably be done after January expiration in this case. So, you sell December, and then assuming that goes well, you'll exit December and sell January, and then at Jan expiration, you probably exit that and then close the March option and you're done. And then if you still like S&P for cover calls, you go reset the trade. But now you're selling a February option and you're probably buying, July, August, September, something like that. Well, Sanjay, it can be a win-win depending on how you want to look at it. If the stock goes down, you will be losing money. Where it's a win-win is you lose less money than if you didn't do a cover call. So when you do a cover call and the stock drops, it's not that you make money, you lose money. You just don't lose as much since you had your short call option. You outperform the guy who didn't do the cover call. But most people would prefer their account value not go down. So that's kind of a weak consolation prize knowing that you didn't do as bad as you could have. We'd still rather just make money. Okay? So I don't know how aggressive I'd argue the point that going down is still a good thing. It's not. Cindy, I don't really, well, no, I do use the rolling capability, yes. So if I have an option that I want to buy back and then I want to simultaneously sell a new one, then yeah, I'll use that rolling order. So like let's take this scenario up top right here. So you sold this December 260 call for $1.50, and let's say it's actually dropped maybe to 10 cents. You say, okay, time to buy that guy back. Right? I want to buy this guy back. I've made $1.40. There's not much left to make. Right? So I want to buy the December 260 call. Right? I'm done. Take profits. Buy that back at 10 cents. And I still like the S&P. I still own 100 shares or whatever, and I want to sell another cover call. Well, I want to sell a January cover call. Maybe I'm going to sell a Jan 260 call or something. Suppose that's the one that makes sense for that next month. And I'm going to get another $1.50. You can put in an order, Cindy, that does that at the same time. So you paid 10 cents for this guy. You received $1.50 for this guy. So your net credit for that entire order would be $1.40. Okay? So yeah, I use that roll order if I'm simultaneously closing a current position and then I want to open another. The alternative, Cindy, is you just do it with two different orders. Buy back your cover call or naked put or whatever it is, and then separately go sell a new one. Rolling is just kind of a slick way to do it all at once, to seamlessly close one and then open the other.